Yo, today we're going to be talking about cooking and how I make a lot of money through cooking. So first of all, we're going to look here. I am 92 million silver, right? And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to hand in my master cooking boxes and I'll show you how much money I have afterwards. And boom, I have 176 million, which means I made 84 million. However, I still haven't turned in everything because I didn't make enough. I can still turn in another 29 of these master boxes. So this is where you make the majority of your money. You're making cooking boxes and you're handing it into the Imperial Trader, which pays 250% more than the regular price. As you can see on the middle column and at the very bottom, it says original price 220,000, but the Imperial Trader is buying it at 550,000. So that's how you make money. Anyway, let's jump into the video and we'll talk about it in more detail. Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about what is cooking. So this is the final video out of the 3-part series where we talked about gathering first, then farming, and now cooking. The reason why I left cooking for last is because you need to do gathering and you need to do farming in order to maximize your profits for cooking. So without further ado, let's begin. So you're going to notice at the very beginning, your cooking level is not going to be very high. You're going to start at beginner 1. So what should you be making to level up your cooking? The first item that I recommend to make is beer. The reason why you want to make beer is because, as I said in yesterday's farming video, you need to invest in nodes and have workers working on the nodes in order to gather materials for you. So the main nodes that you probably want to invest in pretty early are going to be corn, potatoes, cooking honey, eggs, as well as chicken meat, because this is the foundation of a lot of dishes that you're going to be making down the road. And so at the very beginning, you want to make beer, and you can come to your cooking utensil, press R, and then you can type in here beer, and voila, the beer recipe will show up and it'll tell you that you need 5 types of wheat, 6 mineral water or 3 purified water, 2 leavening agents, as well as 1 sugar. So the nice thing about beer is you can buy mineral water, you can buy sugar, you can buy leavening agent, all from the NPC. So the NPC, if you are located in Heidel, is quite simple. You come out of 1-1 and you see where Laura is. She's right here. And there's a cooking merchant right here. He's called a Golden Toad Inn owner, Constantine. You talk to him, you go to his shop, and voila, you can buy everything here. You've got mineral water here, you've got leavening agent, and you've got sugar. Not to mistaken with raw sugar. Do not buy raw sugar, it won't work. You need regular sugar. So then you're going to produce as much beer as you want, basically until you have a comfortable amount of beer so that you can actually feed your workers. As you can see over here, I have a bunch of workers working for me on my gardens, on gathering fish, gathering pumpkins, honey, all the other stuff. So I just need to make sure that I have enough beer to make sure that they're always topped off so that they can constantly be working for me in order to get all these materials. So after I made a bunch of beer, the next item that I personally go for is I go for vinegar. The main reason is because vinegar is very easy to make. As we can come back to our cooking utensil, again, we're going to type in vinegar and it's going to pop up right here. And you can see that we need 1 wheat, 1 apple, 1 leavening agent, and 1 sugar. So the thing about this is you don't have to use wheat. Wheat is just like a subtype. So you can use corn, you can use potato, you can use wheat, really up to you. As for apple, that's just any fruit. So in my case, I use strawberries. So you can see here that personally I use 1 potato, 1 strawberry, 1 sugar, and 1 leavening agent. And the nice thing about this is you can buy strawberries from an NPC in Calpheon. So let's head over to Calpheon and let me show you. Alright, so once you arrive to Calpheon, you want to take the south entrance. So once you're at the south entrance, you'll notice that there's a stable keeper called Ash Rogue. You want to auto path to him, okay? Once you auto path to him, you'll see that he's right there on my left. You're going to run past him, past these arches right here, and you're going to notice that there's a luxury vendor on your left. So you're going to go past the luxury vendor into this building, and voila. Once you're here, you'll notice that there is the importer fruit handling merchant right here. You're going to talk to her, you're going to go to shop, and voila. You can buy strawberries, you can buy apples, pears, pineapple, banana, cherries, and paprika. So the reason why I buy strawberries is because it is the cheapest. It's 700 silver compared to apples, which is 1000 silver. Obviously, you can buy strawberries on the marketplace for a lot cheaper, 585, but the quantity is going to be varying because if there's a lot of people making strawberries and selling it on the market, then you'll be able to buy a lot. But there's some days where there's not a lot of people selling strawberries. So just to save myself time, I like to come here and I just buy a bunch. I would buy multiple, and I would buy like 40,000 strawberries. So 40,000 strawberries is a lot of weight. So what I do is I simply place it all on my horse. So in order to do that, it's quite simple. You get off your horse over here, you buy your bazillion strawberries, and then you go to your horse and you press F6, and your inventory for your horse will open, and you can just keep stacking more and more and more and more strawberries until your horse is like dying, right? That way you can keep buying more strawberries. Because if you look over here and you try and buy strawberries, if I try to buy like 40,000, right? It won't let me buy it. You see, it says this is too heavy. So I have to buy in increments of 10,000 or 5,000, and I have to stack it on my horse over and over and over again. And once I'm done buying the strawberries, like if I have 40,000 strawberries on my horse, I simply take it all out onto my inventory and I get on my horse immediately. That way there's no penalty on the horse, you know, it won't walk very slow. I'm super overweight, but it'll be fine because then I could just ride the horse all the way back to Heidel. So that's where you get your strawberries. And then as for your potatoes and your corn, if you guys remember from yesterday's video, you can just get that from your worker nodes. But yeah, let's head back to Heidel now. Okay, so now that we're back at Heidel at my residence, so now you'll notice that you have all the materials you need in order to make vinegar. So you have your strawberries, you have your sugar, and you have your leavening agent, and hopefully you have a ton of potato or corn or wheat from your nodes. And thus you can start mass producing vinegar. So why do I recommend people to mass produce vinegar? Mainly because it gives a decent amount of EXP, can get you to professional rank very quickly, which then you can start producing pickled vegetables. The recipe for pickled vegetables is quite simple. You're going to type in pickled, and right here, pickled vegetables. So it's 8 cabbage, 4 vinegar, 2 leavening agents, and 2 sugar. So again, with the cabbage, it can be any type of vegetable. So in our case, we use pumpkins. We use 8 pumpkins, 4 vinegar, 2 leavening agent, and 2 sugar in order to create pickled vegetables. And you can see over here that I have 8,200 pickled vegetables. So I'm going to take out 100 pickled vegetables right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to create imperial crates. So imperial crates or imperial cooking is not that different from regular cooking. You just cook your normal products, you press L and you click on the imperial cuisine tab and you put in your pickled vegetables and you click start. And what you're going to do is you're simply packaging them into a crate. So you can see here that we have created a professional's cooking box where we packaged 18 pickled vegetables in order to create one of these boxes. So if you look over here, the pickled vegetables, if we were to vend it off to an NPC, it's only 422 silver each. So 422 multiplied by 18 is only 7,596 silver. However, if you package it into one of these professional cooking boxes, suddenly it's worth 120,000 silver. So it's worth a lot more. But we can increase this amount by even more by going to an imperial merchant. So if you come out over here at Heidel, there is an imperial crafting delivery right here. Okay, so on the map, she will be located right here where I'm standing. So, you know, right across of Lara. And what you're going to do is you're going to talk to her and go to imperial crafting right here. And this list will pop up and you can see that with the professional's cooking box, instead of the regular sell price of 120,000, you can sell a professional's cooking box to this merchant over here for 300,000 silver. And this is why cooking is so profitable. And there is this imperial crafting delivery merchant in most of the big cities. I personally go to the one at Heidel, or I go to Calpheon, or I go to Olvia, or if you're crazy enough, you can do either Altanova or all the way across the desert at Valencia. I'm sure there's no one at Valencia. So Valencia is a pretty good bet if you want to get your trade-ins every single day. So what do I mean by trade-ins? If you look over here, you can see on the professional cooking boxes, it's a 0. So right here, I have 1 cooking box, right? I want to sell it, but it won't let me sell it to this merchant. You know, I can't sell this box because she won't buy any more. She has a limited amount of boxes that she'll buy every 3 hours. So at the moment, it is 1:50 p.m. for me, and I need to wait until 2 p.m. So I need to wait 10 minutes for her purchase to reset, and then I'll be able to sell my box. And this is channel specific. So currently I'm on channel 6. So if I switch to channel 5, the numbers over here are going to be different because each channel has its own specific vendor and own specific limit of these imperial boxes that they'll buy. and this is where you make the majority of your money through cooking. Now, of course, we don't want to just stop at professional. We want to go higher, because as you can see, the professional cooking box is worth 300,000. If we get to artisan cooking, we can start selling the artisan cooking boxes, which are worth 40,000. And if you're at my level at master cooking, you can sell it at 550,000. However, you can increase this value even more. So the way to increase that value is by wearing cooking's clothes in order to increase your cooking mastery. So if we look over here, when I press P, we go to learn more and we go to cooking, you can see over here that my cooking mastery is 736. So I get 36.5% more profit whenever I sell the goods to these vendors. So that basically means whenever I sell a master cooking box, I don't make just 550,000 per box. I'm making an additional 200,000. So basically I'm getting 750,000 for each master cooking box that I'm selling, simply because of my cooking mastery being 736. So remember, the cooking mastery goes up by increments of 50. So the next mastery breakpoint that I want to aim at is 750, and then this will change my extra profit from 36.5% to something higher. Now, I know a lot of you guys are curious on what dishes I personally made, so I'll tell you guys right off the bat. So when I was professional cooking, I actually didn't make the pickled vegetables into these professional cooking boxes. I power leveled straight to artisan. The reason for that was because of my farming. My farming, I had special peppers and I had special onions. And then I was making grilled sausages. That was what I did for artisan boxes. So if we go over here and we type in grilled, right here are grilled sausages. You require 6 pork, 1 onion, 2 salt, and 2 pepper. And what I did over here for the pork, instead of using pork, I use lamb meat. For the onions, I just use a regular onion. For salt, I use regular salt. And for the pepper, I use regular pepper. And thus I was able to make this dish. So this is kind of a waste because I'm using blue rarity ingredients, but to me, I didn't really care at the time because honestly, I didn't know. But over here, you should just be using regular onions and not special onions. And over here, instead of using 2 special peppers, you only need to use 1 special pepper. But the main reason why I used special variants was because my farming was already artisan. So I was already growing magical crops, which automatically give me special onions as well as special peppers. And that's why I use the blue variants. But just keep in mind, if you're going to copy what I do, just make sure to use 1 onion as well as 1 pepper. Because we're using the special variants, you only need to use 1. It's going to be a little bit of a loss or a little bit of a waste, but it's perfectly viable if you just want to copy what I did. So this is what I did with artisan. And once I graduated from artisan, I hit master. And when I hit master, I started making lean meat salads. So for lean meat salads, you need 8 pork, 2 vinegar, 3 pepper, and 4 dressing. So over here, I use 8 lamb meat, I use 4 dressing, I use 2 vinegar, and I use 1 pepper. Because I'm using these special variants or special pepper, I don't need to use 3, I can just use 1. And thus, this is what I cook every single day right now in order to make my master boxes, and I sell them directly to the NPC in order to make my money. And by handing in all of my master cooking boxes, I make around 120 million a day. But that is because my imperial delivery quantity is 162. So what determines this number? It is based off your contribution points. So you can see over here that my maximum contribution is 324. And so 324 divided by 2 is going to be 162. So it's going to be half of your maximum contribution points will determine how much daily delivery quantity you can do every single day. So you really want to boost your contribution points as high as possible. So if you just saw that, notice the imperial delivery has now reset. So let's take out our professional cooking box. We can run to the merchant over here and you'll notice that her stuff has reset. You can see now I can sell professional boxes. I'll sell that. Ka-ching! I just made 300,000 from that little transaction, but I messed up. Remember how I was talking about the bonus money? I should have worn my Tet Logia's clothes in order to get the bonus money. Like if we look over here, I was wearing the wrong clothes, so my cooking mastery was only 536, which means I only gained 21.2% extra profit instead of the 36.5% extra profit which I should have gotten because I was simply just wearing the wrong clothes. So just do keep that in mind that during the Imperial turn-ins, that is when you want to wear your big ticket items to get a ton of money. Okay, but yeah, you see that every 3 hours it'll reset. So 2 p.m. my time or 2 a.m. EST, this thing resets, and then the next reset's going to be 5 a.m. EST, and every 3 hours, so forth and so on. Okay? But yeah, right now I am just mass cooking in order to get a witch's delicacy to show you guys how to increase your maximum contribution. Hey guys, one thing that I forgot to mention was your cooking clothes. So if we look over here, that I am currently wearing the silver embroidered cook's clothes. Main reason I'm wearing this because it reduces my cooking time by 4 seconds. And normally I would also have a life spirit stone because it also reduces cooking time by 1.1 seconds. So why use the silver embroidered cook's clothes instead of the Logia's cook's clothes or your Manos cook's clothes? And the main reason for that is because speed is king when it comes to cooking. You want to pump out dishes ASAP to make them as fast as possible, mainly because it takes forever to create dishes. Now, there is the counter argument saying that, hey, maybe if I have a lot of cooking mastery, I can proc those crits more often, and then I can do batch cooking more often. So the thing is, even if you have very high cooking mastery, sure, it increases your mass cooking percentage chance, but in the grand scheme of things, you're still going to cook things faster if you have a very fast cooking time. So I don't have a very fast cooking time right now because you can see here that I have the seafood prawn meal, which reduces my cooking time by 0.6 seconds. I have the silver embroidered cook's clothes +3, which decreases it by 4 seconds, and that's it. I don't have anything else that's reducing my cooking time. Normally I would use the alchemy stone or the spirit stone to decrease it by another 1.1 seconds, and then I can also buy a drought, which will also decrease my cooking time by another second. And that's pretty much the limit that I can do as a free-to-play player. Obviously, I can upgrade my cook's clothes to +4 to decrease 5 seconds. Or if I get a +5, I think that's minus like 7 seconds. It's something ridiculously crazy fast. But the case is, if you're free-to-play, your cooking time is going to be a little bit more tricky to get down to 1 second. And that is the maximum efficiency that you can cook stuff. However, if you are a cash user, buying the outfit Canapé will also decrease the cooking time by 2 seconds, and that's a costume. It doesn't take up any of your gear slots, it takes up your appearance slots, and that will reduce your cooking time by 2 seconds, so it'll be much easier to get to that magical 1 second cooking time. But that's only if you care about min-maxing. For me, you know, my cooking time is pretty slow. Like, it takes 4 seconds, almost 5 seconds for me to make one portion of dressing. But it doesn't matter too much for me because whenever I'm mass cooking over here, I'm usually editing a video. And so it doesn't matter how long it takes for me. I'm more than happy for it to run for 30 minutes, 1 hour. To me, it doesn't matter. Another thing that can also help is your cooking utensil. You can see here that I have the advanced cooking utensil. You can buy that off the market. There are a bazillion pre-orders right now, but you know, just put in your 10 pre-orders and it usually pops within a couple days. I've never really had that much problems trying to get my advanced cooking utensils. Of course, you can craft it yourself, which I also do at the side. And yeah. Anyway, back to the video. Alright, so we finally have some witch's delicacy. We can see over here that I have 5. I've been cooking a lot of dressing, like 1,800 and something dressing so far. And this is how you can increase your maximum contribution through cooking. And this is the main source that I personally have been doing in order to get to 324 contribution. It's just through cooking. I just cook, and I get a bunch of these witch's delicacies. When you have 10 of them, you go to Olvia, and then you can exchange it for 900 contribution EXP, as well as 30 cooking EXP. And that's what I do. Of course, you can exchange it for beer instead or for milk. I know a lot of people do milk instead because you need a lot of milk for guru cooking. But I just want more contribution so I can do more Imperial turn-ins every day and increase my money. But I think I'll probably stop at like 400 contribution, mainly because 200 Imperial turn-ins a day is actually quite a lot. But yeah, that's basically how I increase my contribution points. Okay, conclusion time. So pros for cooking. It's super easy to get in. It's very profitable, and you can preemptively do all of your cooking earlier so that every day you just log on during Imperial turn-in time, you turn in all of your stuff, and it's like a shotgun effect. You get all your money all at once. Then you can use the rest of your day to go out and do grinding if that's your thing. And so that way this life skill doesn't interfere with all the other activities that you wanted to do, because you kind of prepare everything beforehand, and then once that server reset, you throw everything in, you hand all your Imperial crates, you get a big sum of money, and then you're done for that day. So it's very time efficient like that. Okay, now for the cons. The cons is there is some setup time required because once you've invested into the nodes, you're going to need to place workers on them, and you need to wait a certain amount of time for your workers to gather all the materials to bring it to your storage. So that would probably be your eggs, your potatoes, your corn, your pumpkins, all of these materials. It takes time to accumulate. So that's con number 1. Con number 2 is gathering meat. You need enough energy to go out to gather enough meat in order to cook. So for example, in my case, I have 254 energy and I do not have the Camel Sylvia buff, which means I don't gather enough meat in a day to actually cook enough dishes for my daily turn-ins. So what I had to do was I had to overcompensate by buying a lot of energy potions. So certain buffs, such as the Camel Sylvia buff, are kind of important and kind of play a big role in your life skilling, mainly in gathering. But the Camel Sylvia buff, definitely very important because that energy regen really makes a difference. So that is con number 2. Con number 3 is your farm setup. You need some time in order to get to artisan, and that is when your farm really ramps up and you start getting your crops really easily, and you only need to do like 2 harvests a day, 1 harvest a day, and you'll be fine. Before then, you kind of need to babysit your farm every so often to make sure that everything is doing okay. So those are the main 3 cons for cooking. But yeah, overall, I recommend cooking for everyone because it is very profitable. You can make a lot of money and you can really accelerate your progress in Black Desert Online. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to talk about in today's video. Hopefully it was helpful. If it was, I would appreciate a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye. What can I say except you're welcome for the